Hey folks, this is Rhykker, and with BlizzCon 2019 right around the corner, I figure I'd release a video with my top 5 predictions of what to expect to be revealed. Now, these predictions will be based on the BlizzCon floor plan, the schedule, leaks we've had recently and for a while, and just plain educated guessing. In short, I believe this may be Blizzard's biggest BlizzCon ever, with regards to major announcements they plan to make. Now let's begin by looking at the floor plan and the schedule. Hall D, the Mythic stage, that is the main stage of BlizzCon. That's where the opening ceremonies happen, that's where they make all their big reveals. This is arguably the most important hall at BlizzCon. And what we immediately see is a big ol' empty space. Now, floor space at BlizzCon comes at a premium. Blizzard isn't going to waste a bunch of empty space, especially in their main hall. Some people argue, well, it's just space so that people can easily vacate after the opening ceremonies. Yeah, they used that same argument last year when we saw a similar but smaller empty space that turned out to be a demo station for Diablo Immortal. I'd be willing to bet that this year we are going to see some other demo station hidden there for some unrevealed Blizzard project. We see that World of Warcraft has a demo station. If there's going to be a WoW expansion revealed, it'll likely be at the WoW demo station. We see a Hearthstone demo station. Same thing. Hearthstone expansion likely going to be there. We see an Overwatch demo station. Anything Overwatch related will probably go there as well. Notably absent is a Diablo demo station. And yes, also Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft 2, but those franchises do seem to be on Blizzard's back burner for the moment. That said, new to this BlizzCon is the Blizzard Arcade in Hall E. There we see demo stations for all of Blizzard's other games, including Diablo 3, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft 2. It also includes Blizzard's old classic games like Blackthorn and Diablo 2. So in short, what I glean from this floor plan is that there's going to be either one, perhaps even two, secret demo stations right there in Hall D. These are going to be Blizzard's biggest announcements, because if you're going to put that demo station in Hall D, that's where you're going to have the most traffic, the most eyes on a project. I think it's unlikely for those to be a WoW expansion, Hearthstone, or even Overwatch 2, so fair guess that this could be a hidden Diablo 4 station. Regardless of what it's going to be something big, otherwise Blizzard wouldn't hide it. And speaking of hidden things, if we look at the BlizzCon schedule, we see something completely unprecedented. Just an absolute litany of hidden main stage panels. After the opening ceremony, we got coming soon, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. Basically, the rest of the main stage panels are not being revealed. If Blizzard had nothing to hide, they would be revealing what these panels are gonna be. And the fact that they are main stage panels means that these will be very important panels. These panels will likely pertain to major reveals that will happen during the opening ceremony. New games, maybe new franchises, and what exactly those can be, well, let's dive right into my 5 predictions. Prediction number 1, Diablo 4. Now, I've talked about Diablo 4 for literal years on this channel, but this is the first time that I would say that we're probably gonna get a Diablo 4 reveal. Previously, it was always, maybe we'll get a reveal at BlizzCon. But this time around, there are so many leaks, so much circumstantial evidence that there is a strong indication that we will be getting something big for Diablo for PC gamers this BlizzCon. And one of those leaks, which happened just a few days ago, comes from an advertisement for the upcoming Diablo Artbook. Now, we've known for a while that an art book titled The Art of Diablo would be releasing at some point this year. Specifically, it seems to be November 3rd, i.e. right around or after BlizzCon. But it seems that an advertisement for this art book in the German GameStar magazine lets the cat out of the bag that Diablo 4 will be announced at BlizzCon. Translated from German, this passage states that the book includes over 500 artworks from Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, and Diablo 4. Now, clearly some mistake was made here on the part of the German magazine. The question is, what was the mistake? Did they mistakenly say Diablo 4 when it was intended to be Diablo Immortal? That's a possibility, in which case this is not a story. That, however, seems like a pretty unlikely mistake. The more likely mistake is that they publish this before they were supposed to. Now you can say, well, there's no Diablo 4 in active development right now. This was just artwork for when they were going to make a Diablo 4. And sure, however, Blizzard has not publicly acknowledged Diablo 4, and it doesn't make sense for them to first publicly acknowledge it in an artbook. Take Titan, for instance, a project that Blizzard had publicly acknowledged in the past, and then we got artwork, unreleased artwork from Project Titan. So given this artbook is meant to release at or after BlizzCon, it makes most sense that Diablo 4 is revealed at BlizzCon, artbook releases with artwork from Diablo 4. But that's not the only Diablo 4 leak we've had recently. An Overwatch streamer recently said on Twitter that Diablo 4 would be announced at BlizzCon 2019. This Overwatch streamer named Metro seems to have a legitimate source at Blizzard because before last BlizzCon, they successfully leaked a new Overwatch hero, complete with name and abilities. Therefore, this streamer has proven to have legitimate leaks in the past, and they are leveraging that reputation to state that their leaks this year are also legitimate. Now, this isn't the first that we've learned that Diablo 4 is in the works via a leak. It was last November, after BlizzCon 2018, that games journalist Jason Schreier, who has a lot of industry connections and has had legitimate leaks in the past, confirmed that Diablo 4 had been in the works since 2014, with development rebooting in 2016. The game was originally going to be a Dark Souls style game before the reboot, which transformed it into a more traditional action RPG. According to Jason Schreier, the design director is Louis Barriga, whose LinkedIn profile corroborates this. It states he's been a game director at Blizzard since 2016, the time of the reboot, and this is after being a lead game designer on World of Warcraft for years. Apparently, one of Barriga's pillars of Diablo 4 is embrace the darkness. And a quote from an anonymous Blizzard employee states, "They want to make this gross, make it dark, get rid of anything that was considered cartoony in Diablo 3, make what people were afraid of in Diablo 2, but modern." Schreier also revealed that in early 2018, the plan was to actually reveal Diablo 4 at BlizzCon 2018, but that plan must have changed at some point, as the game wasn't ready yet. So it makes sense that if in early 2018 Blizzard thought they would be ready to reveal Diablo 4 at BlizzCon 2018, they should be ready by 2019 given another year. But yet another leak also corroborates that D4 is in the works and potentially ready for reveal. In June, reputable French publication Le Monde published a piece in which they had interviewed laid off Blizzard employees. In that article, Le Monde stated that certain teams at Blizzard had already had the right to a presentation of the highly anticipated Diablo 4, and they know that a new Overwatch is in the pipes, but neither will release before 2020 at best. So it makes sense that if Diablo 4 was being shown internally during the summer and those presentations went well, that was a pre-screening or a precursor to the reveal at BlizzCon later in the year. Then of course there's also the circumstantial evidence that the former biggest Diablo 3 streamer, Quinn69, was invited as per him by the Diablo team to attend BlizzCon 2019, and it's public record that Quinn is not interested in Diablo Immortal, has never really expressed interest in Diablo 2 for a remaster, so really the only thing that would interest him would be a Diablo 3 expansion, which is pretty unlikely, or Diablo 4, which is a lot more likely. Now, speaking of a release date, I would imagine that the earliest reasonable date to expect Diablo 4 to arrive would be spring 2021. That'll be the same turnaround that we saw with Overwatch from reveal to release. It's also possible that David Kim might be working on Diablo 4 or another Diablo project. David Kim, formerly of the StarCraft team, moved on to Team 3, aka the Diablo team, in January 2017. He is now a lead systems designer on the Diablo team. And as per his LinkedIn profile, it states, quote, exploring what's next for the Diablo franchise. Now, David Kim played StarCraft 2 at a professional level. He was a global top 100 ranked player in StarCraft 2, and he was a game balance designer on StarCraft 2. So I would imagine that his position on the Diablo team is something related to PvP, something to ensure that PvP is balanced. Diablo 3 had a failed PvP experiment, the arenas, which had a lot of hype from the player base, but Blizzard gave up on them because they just couldn't get them balanced and fun. So why not take your best PvP balance-minded employee and get him to try to figure out how to make PvP work in a Diablo game. Now, whether this means PvP in Diablo 4 or whether it means a standalone Diablo game with PvP, we'll have to wait and see. On to prediction number 2, Diablo 2 Remastered. We know that there are multiple teams working on multiple Diablo projects. We know Diablo Immortal is one of those projects. We know that Diablo 3 is no longer in the hands of the Diablo team, but in the Classic Games team. And we know that Diablo 4 is another team. So that's 2 Diablo teams on 2 Diablo projects. That's not quite enough to say multiple. A Diablo 2 remaster makes a lot of sense as one of these extra Diablo projects. And this is further corroborated by the fact that Blizzard released Diablo 1, Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, but not Diablo 2 on GOG. They basically gave GOG the rights to sell their games. Now, in my view, that means they don't intend to remaster Diablo 1 or Warcraft 1 or Warcraft 2. But why not also release Diablo 2 on GOG? Well, again, a recent leak. As per that Overwatch streamer Metro, Diablo 2 Remastered will be revealed this BlizzCon. This was a surprise for me. Now, I know from personal sources that Blizzard has at least actively looked into the possibility of remastering Diablo 2, but I thought that would have been an announcement for perhaps BlizzCon 2020. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to interview one of the fathers of Diablo, David Brevik, who is no longer at Blizzard, and he spoke at length as to how difficult it would be to remaster Diablo 2. He expressed that it would be far more difficult than remastering StarCraft. First off, because there are so many more assets to remaster from a visual perspective, and secondly, just the engine limitations, and basically it sounds like it would be a huge nightmare to handle. And I don't doubt David Brevik. I absolutely believe that it would be a monumental effort on Blizzard's part to remaster Diablo 2. However, that doesn't mean it's impossible, and I believe with enough time and money put into a project, you can overcome whatever hurdle is in the way. Blizzard has a team dedicated to this kind of stuff, the Classic Games team, maintaining Blizzard's old games and revamping them. The remaster of StarCraft 1 was announced in March 2017, and it was released in August 2017, and the team stated that it took about a year to remaster StarCraft. Then at BlizzCon 2018, Warcraft 3 Reforged, a Warcraft 3 overhaul and remaster, was announced. This was a much bigger project than StarCraft Remastered because it included balance changes and an entire visual overhaul of the 3D models and textures, much more so than for StarCraft. When they announced it, they stated they had been working on Warcraft 3 Reforged for about 2 years, and they thought that by 2019 they would be releasing it, which puts us at a total dev time of about 3 years. Now, if you look back at historical Blizzard job postings, all indications are that a Diablo 2 remaster is Classic Games' next project. And what I would expect from a Diablo 2 remaster is not a full 3D game, but more something along the lines of what happened with StarCraft. That same style of visual treatment. In the case of Warcraft 3 Reforged, they were already dealing with a 3D engine, so making that visual transition to higher polygon count models makes more sense than going from a 2D sprite game to a full 3D game for a Diablo 2 remaster. I would anticipate that a Diablo 2 remaster would release in 2020 to help keep us tided over until the 2021 release of Diablo 4. Alright, third prediction, Overwatch 2. It's kind of been a slow year for Overwatch. What have the devs been up to? For months and years, we've had speculation from financial analysts that Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 were going to be projects that Blizzard would be announcing at past BlizzCons. But they're not really acting on any form of insider information with regards to leaks. They're simply looking at Activision Blizzard's track records of game releases and thinking, well, it makes financial sense to reveal this then and release this then, therefore we're making these predictions. But the idea of an Overwatch 2 isn't without precedent. As far back as 2016, game director Jeff Kaplan was already talking about a future potential sequel. In an interview with Game Informer, when asked about PvE, Jeff Kaplan stated, quote, "The idea of exploring PvE in Overwatch as game developers has us all eagerly awaiting the chance to do that. Whether that be in some subsequent Overwatch game that we haven't made yet, or even in a different genre of Overwatch. I think we're all dying to explore PvE at some point, but not for this game. Not for the initial offering of Overwatch, which is really focused on the team-based hero action combat. So it's something we'd like to get to someday in a different game." Now, our first concrete leaks on Overwatch 2 came in June, courtesy again of Jason Schreier. In a story covering a cancelled StarCraft first-person shooter, Schreier explained that the reason for the cancellation of this project was to allocate more manpower onto Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. He went on to state that both of these two games were expected to be Blizzard's marquee announcements at this year's BlizzCon, and that those two games would be key parts of Blizzard's strategy for the coming years. He also stated that Overwatch 2 would have a large PvE element, and that a couple of Blizzard employees compared it to Left 4 Dead. Now we're going to once again go back to our Overwatch streamer Metro, because as you can guess, he had a few things to say about Overwatch at BlizzCon 2019, and he confirmed that yes, Overwatch 2 will be revealed. He also said that it definitely will be called Overwatch 2, and it will not be an expansion to Overwatch, but rather a standalone game. He said it'll have PvP and PvE elements. The game will also feature a leveling system that will affect how you can play your hero. Through this mechanic, you'll be able to change how certain abilities operate. I'm imagining this being something like in Heroes of the Storm, where at certain levels you get to unlock perks that could potentially modify how a skill operates. Now, Metro also stated that the reveal of Overwatch 2 will happen via a cinematic. This cinematic will feature Mei as one of the main characters, she will become injured, and she'll be saved by Genji. And at the end, the Overwatch logo will appear, and then a 2 will be added at the very end. Metro also stated that there probably will not be a new hero revealed for Overwatch this year because they are putting all their resources to making Overwatch 2 happen as soon as possible. If I had to guess on a release date for Overwatch 2, I would say late 2020 or early 2021, but that's pure speculation. My fourth prediction, a World of Warcraft expansion. Why? It just makes sense. Apart from one initial outlier, Blizzard has always followed a staggered release schedule for World of Warcraft expansions every 2 years. In 2018, we got Battle for Azeroth, 2016, Legion, 2014, Warlords of Draenor, Mists of Pandaria, 2012, 2010, Cataclysm, 2008, Wrath of the Lich King. So it makes perfect sense for another World of Warcraft expansion to be revealed this BlizzCon and released in 2020. Now, there have been a couple different leaks for the upcoming WoW expansion that have gotten some traction. One states that the expansion is called Age of Darkness, but I think the more credible leak is the alleged Shadowlands expansion. This image here shows World of Warcraft with a Shadowlands subtitle. This could have been fake, this could be a fan creation, but at the very least it's a pretty legit looking fake. In short, the alleged story is that the Lich King will take players to the Shadowlands, where Sylvanas has been waging war against the old gods, and 2 whole new continents will be introduced, the Dragon Isles and the Shadowlands. And interestingly, both of these leaks actually state that a new class will be introduced called the Tinkerer. But of course, this is all speculative. And these leaks, unlike the other leaks I've spoken of, don't have anyone with a reputation behind them to uphold them as true. Then for my fifth prediction, I'm going to call a safety. I'm going to say we're going to get either the release or reveal of release date of Warcraft 3 Reforged, and or Diablo Immortal, and or the announcement of Burning Crusade coming to World of Warcraft Classic. Just one of those things is bound to happen. What? No one makes top 4 lists. And that's gonna wrap up this video. But do leave a comment with your thoughts. What are your BlizzCon 2019 predictions? As a reminder, I'll be live streaming from BlizzCon on Friday night. I'll also be live tweeting from BlizzCon throughout the event, especially the opening ceremonies. So follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch to be alerted when I go live. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more BlizzCon content.